Welcome. We're going to test this out here. I'm trying to get this on multiple platforms, so I'm just trying to check things out, wait for people to come in. Expand me for a second here. Let's try this. There we go. All right, I can see. Let me get this up in my link tree. I want to see if this is coming through to Substack okay. It is my first time streaming there, and I'm using StreamYard. Link. Paste. Yep. Live now. Substack. Done. Okay. Link in bio. Easy peasy. Okay, let me check and see here. It's not. Maybe it's just because I can't see myself live. Maybe that's it. Fucking teleprompter. Be 1 minute and I'll get my shit together. I'm just curious how this looks. Okay, it says stream starting soon. I don't know if I can go into my own live. It says I'm live over there. We'll see what happens. Some of the comments will appear here. All right. What we're going to be doing today is reviewing the short form videos or frying your brain. This is Dr. Anna Lemke. She's like the dopamine expert, and we're going to learn a little bit more about dopamine and how it affects addiction. And a lot of you are suffering with this. We deal with it on social media. I see it more and more in the comment section from people who cannot put the app down. It's not going to be just a review. I'm going to be using it as a framework to slow things down, expand on the topics being discussed, and explain what's actually happening underneath the surface. We might throw Chat GPT in there. Let me get him ready, because there's some concepts that are kind of hard for me to explain. I get tongue-tied. And that's where AI does come in handy, is to help to expand on the knowledge you already have instead of trying to use it to speak for you and think for you. We'll pause. We're going to pull up. I've got a lot of slides that I've made that I've found. We're going to look at some websites and some definitions, look at the data and talk about how this applies to real life, especially when it comes to dopamine, behavior, addiction, and the systems that influence us. The goal here is education, not outrage. I want people to walk away understanding why these patterns exist and how to navigate them more intentionally. If you're aware of a situation and you can mentally prepare for it, it makes it a lot easier to handle. And that's really what I want people to do, is mentally prepare. So throw this guy up here. Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, so we're going to start.
Experiment where rats were given a lever to press for cocaine. And after learning that it releases a lot of dopamine, the rats will press that lever till exhaustion or death, which is essentially the model of addiction that we see in humans. But if the cocaine is then removed, eventually they won't press the lever anymore. Now, if that same rat, after a period of time, is then exposed to a very painful foot shock, the first thing the rat will do is run over and start pressing that lever again. And that's really powerful, because it shows that when individuals are under extreme stress, they are more vulnerable to going back to compulsive overconsumption of our drug of choice, because their brain has already encoded using these high dopamine rewards out as a way to get out of that pain.
Okay, so what do I need to do to make sure that I can knock the bad habits and add some new ones?
Here's what we do.
Dr. Anna Lemke is chief of the Stanford Addiction Clinic and a world-leading expert on the subject of dopamine.
Just realized my mic was muted. I just want to pause here because this is also where Z-Dog MD comes from. He was a Stanford trained. So there's a lot of correlation, I guess, with a lot of the individuals I like to follow.
And now she's returned to warn us that addiction is the modern plague
and how we can rewire our brains to take back control.
On average, it takes 4 weeks for people to get out of constant state of craving. But here's the problem. Our survival depends on figuring out how to live in a world of abundance. For example, we're now seeing the drugification of human connection through social media, dating apps, and now artificial intelligence designed to flatter, to validate. There's no friction there. And so it's pulling us away from the hard things that we need to be doing in real life to cultivate real life relationships. We cannot go in that direction because in a world of abundance, we are entertaining ourselves to death.
Sounds like a good way to go.
It's really not, because the relentless pursuit of pleasure leads to anhedonia.
What's that mean?
The inability to take joy in anything at all.
I have complained so many times recently that I cannot, I'm not depressed. I just don't feel happiness. Like I look at other people and I'm like, why does this bring you pleasure? This just doesn't seem fun to me. It's interesting that there's actually a word for it. A reduction or total absence of your ability to feel pleasure. It's a common symptom of depression and other mental health disorders. Hey guys, welcome in. See, we got D and Amy. You can't get your, it's frustrating me. When I went in, it was just black, but when I went on the outside, it was showing like it was live. But it's like a black screen. It says share or practice live video, scheduled RTMP live. Yeah, because it's black for me as well. And it says it's going through. You are live. Edit. It says it's live. I don't know what's going on. But we got multiple platforms for a reason. Hopefully people see them. It was a test run. So obviously there's something going on there. I'm wondering if it'll catch up eventually after the stream, because it says it's linked, it's live, it's doing its thing. So I don't know what else to do, but hey, we got the other ones. We got YouTube. I got the Book of Face. We're good. We're good. But with the anhedonia, so with social anhedonia, reduced interest in socializing or engaging in interpersonal relationships. Let me hide the comments real quick. No enjoyment gained from physical sensations such as human contact or eating. There's just no pleasure. And that's where a lot of people get confused with the dopamine, is it's the reward system. So it is a pleasure pathway. It is a feel good. It's a euphoric feel good. It's a different feel good than the serotonin that somebody had brought up yesterday. So that's where they differ. And we're going to get into all of those details because they're super duper important in understanding why your brain does what it does when it comes to these addictions. And a lot of these people on the internet, they think they're in recovery, and in fact, they're not. They have transferred their addiction, and we're going to go over in detail why that's not true. This is a really good podcast. I guess this guy's got a lot of conflict. I don't know. I thought the material was pretty good. We'll see. And then there's also, let me share this one, share this tab instead. at this stage. Okay, so anhedonia is why don't I feel pleasure anymore? We explain the symptoms, causes. It's a reduced level of interest in activities you used to enjoy and a decline in your ability to feel pleasure. It's a common symptom of many types of depression, but it can also be experienced by people with other mental health issues. It can even be felt by people who have no diagnosed mental health condition. Physical anhedonia, a pleasure found in physical sensations. This is where I got the table from. Or tactile interactions is reduced. Anything from touching, hugging a partner to eating your favorite meal can feel no longer enjoyable. There's literally a word for it. So don't think that you're out here alone thinking that these things don't exist. So let's go back to the video.
Teach me everything. I see messages all the time in the comment section that some of you didn't realize you didn't subscribe. So if you could do me a favor and double check if you're a subscriber to this channel, that would be tremendously appreciated. It's the free thing that anybody that watches this show frequently can do to help us here, to keep everything going in this show in the trajectory it's on. So please do double check if you subscribed. And thank you so much, because in a strange way, you're part of our history and you're on this journey with us. And I appreciate you for that. So yeah, thank you. Dr. Anna Lemke. For anyone that might not know you, and they didn't watch our conversation last time, which was a fantastic conversation, one of my favorites of all time, and also I know Jack has said to me as well that it was one of his favorites of all time. Who are you and what have you spent your career doing if you had to summarize it? What are the reference points that your wisdom draws upon and the experiences you've had and the people you've worked with?
I'm a psychiatrist. I did a residency in psychiatry at Stanford University, and then I stayed on, joined the faculty. I see patients, I do research, and I teach.
You wrote this iconic book about this word dopamine. Why does it matter so much? Why does this idea of dopamine matter so much?
We're going to read that next. Hopefully, I may have to go live on Substack independently, like on my cell phone. Next time we might have to just do a dual one, but that's the book I've already downloaded the audiobooks. I'm going to read ahead. And then there's also a workbook for this, and we're going to kind of work through that.
Dopamine is a chemical we make in our brain, but I use it in the book as really an extended metaphor for the ways in which overabundance itself is a human stressor. We are living in a time and place where we have more access to luxury goods, more disposable income, more leisure time, even for the poorest of the poor, ever before in recorded history. And it turns out that is stressful for our brains. And it's stressful in a brand new way that we really haven't confronted before, making us all more vulnerable to the problem of compulsive overconsumption.
Compulsive overconsumption. So dopamine is responsible for a lot of things. Emotion, reward. That's that pleasure pathway that I keep talking about. Like that's the reward system. Like you're rewarding what you should be doing is all your work in the morning, get all your chores done, all your duties done, and then get on social media when all your life is complete for the day. Reward yourself at the end of the day is how you should do this, not roll up out of bed, because the first thing you're doing is rewarding yourself, and you're sitting there in bed and you're getting lazy and you're already hooked and rewarding yourself, and everything else after now is work. You almost have to treat this like you would a child. But too much dopamine, you get excess movement, tics, and involuntary movements. Parkinson's, restless leg syndrome. We're going to talk about this later. I suffer from restless legs from a child, and this makes so much sense now that I'm digging into this. Not enough dopamine, you got less movements, Parkinson's, euphoria, hallucinations, and psychosis with too much, lack of emotion, anhedonia, and feeling flat with not enough dopamine. Excess dopamine inhibits prolactin, which is a hormone. Not enough dopamine increases prolactin. Amenorrhea in women. There's problems with your menstrual cycle. and impotence in men. So like this is a huge, it's connected in more ways than just a dopamine receptor. It affects other areas of the brain and other hormones and other chemicals. It's not just a dopamine channel. There's a domino effect of that. And we're going to explain it in easy terms to understand, because this app, these social media apps, but TikTok, it's an extreme overabundance of everything. There's too much drama, too much rage, too much sympathy. Every time you're scrolling, you're fucking crying. You know, it is insane. And it's all incentivized by money. So the more of it, the more money that the app is making, and the more that the people are making, and then the more emotions are being ripped. It's an emotional casino. So here, mental disorders with abnormal dopamine levels, altered dopamine levels in different regions of the brain can affect mental health. So here's an overview of what studies show on how dopamine levels are altered in different disorders. In Parkinson's, it's low. So you get tremors, rigidity, slow movement. That's what Michael J. Fox has. Schizophrenic, high in some areas and low in others. You get hallucinations and cognitive issues. ADHD, it's low in certain brain areas. Inattention and hyperactivity. Bipolar disorder, you get high. It's a manic. It's that euphoric highs and lows. Mood swings and energy changes. In addiction, surges and receptor changes. Compulsive drug seeking. Depression is low. Anhedonia, low motivation. Tics and Tourette's are high. Involuntary movements. Anorexia, low. There's no reward for food. So a lot of this is answered. Yes, it's a mental health issue because it affects the brain, but at the root of it all, it's a chemical in the brain that is causing all of these issues. And if you know what you're working with and understand it, you can prevent these things from happening, because these people cannot put the TikTok down. They cannot. I got up in a box last night because I opened up the app to see if there was any questions on Substack. I'm sure there's going to be plenty. And I opened an app to hear somebody saying that another individual was hunting another person down on live and showed up at somebody's house at 11:30, whose girlfriend's missing, who they were saying, I'm like, oh my fucking God. What are you people doing? Like, this is dangerous. What are you doing? Come to find out the woman is missing. They're trying to rewrite the story for TikTok. I'm like, you all need to put the app down. You are doing too much. You're doing too much. And then, let's see here. Let me remove some of these. Now we got this one here. This is the functions of dopamine. It's important in how the brain controls movement. It needs to be balanced. Too much leads to more movement. Obviously, we've already talked about that. But supplements down here, this is why you need to tell your doctors everything you're taking for your supplements. And remember, ginkgo biloba is often found in energy drinks. That can affect your dopamine levels. So you got to be careful. It stimulates the receptor. It's an agonist, which is kind of good because I don't take the medication for my restless legs anymore. It's an agonist, but I can see where there's a problem with my ADHD and the restless legs and a dopamine back and forth. That's been a key my whole life. But here's multiple different receptors and which ones that they work with. You can pause it to kind of go through it. I'm not going to get into extreme detail, but each receptor for the dopamine is got a different function that it affects in the body. So it matters like which medication you take. Not all are going to work. That's why we have multiple kinds of medications. Alrighty, let's go back over here to Miss Anna.
And addiction. And I do think that addiction is the modern plague. I think we're going to be struggling with the problem of compulsive overconsumption in a world of abundance for the foreseeable future, as in centuries. And our survival will depend on figuring out
making changes in their life. They want to get in shape. They want to lose a couple of pounds. They want to save their money. They want to knock the addiction. They want to stop the smoking, the drugs, and the alcohol. So as it relates to the subject of dopamine, how do these two things link? Our habits and dopamine. What is the link or the connection there? Because I think most people listening right now have probably made a New Year's resolution, even if it's just in their mind. And I'm wondering how everything you write about in Dopamine Nation is related to and critical to understand if I am going to shake some of these bad habits that I have or pick up some new ones.
the place to start is to have self-compassion, because we are living in a world of abundance where we have easy access to all kinds of reinforcing substances and behaviors. And access itself is one of the biggest risk factors for addiction. So if you grow up in a neighborhood where drugs are easily and readily accessible, you're more likely to try them and more likely to get addicted to them. And what do addictive substances and behaviors do to our brains? They release a lot of dopamine all at once in a dedicated part of the brain called the reward pathway. And the fact that they release so much dopamine at once means that they're highly salient and memorable experiences, right? So our brain really encodes that experience deeply, that experience of intense pleasure that was self-administered, that I could potentially.
So, pleasure. Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These are all the things that we want as a human that we're seeking, right? So down here at the very, 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 and you're going to hear this word later, homeostasis. I deal with that in respiratory, acid-base balance. The body wants to maintain a neutral pH. Breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, excretion, safety, love, belonging. So you're seeking all of those things, but you're looking for the rewards in the wrong places. No, it's a behavior issue. If you can change the behavior and the actions that you're associating with it, you're going to have a lot more success.
Potentially do again.
Why?
Okay, in a world of scarcity and ever-present danger, which is the world that we evolved for, we will naturally reflexively approach pleasure and avoid pain, and we must do so for our survival.
Why? So if I have a cigarette now, it's going to be a really memorable experience from a brain perspective. Why does my brain make it memorable? And why would I want to then go do that again from a survival perspective?
Okay, great question. So let's first distinguish what we call natural rewards. So natural rewards are food, clothing, shelter, finding a mate.
Yeah.
These are things we must obtain in order to.
Oh, I must have missed. I didn't hear about the live this morning. But speaking of that, these apps exploit all of this. What you just heard, TikTok with all of that shit that you watched this morning. I all I know about is the live that was where she went to that man's house. I couldn't believe it. I don't know anything else. It's disgusting, all of it. That's why I'm here doing this, because these people have an addiction to the drama. That song, Where is the Love? It is so freaking true, man. Like, these people are addicted to the things that bring drama and trauma, and they have learned how to exploit and profit from it, and so has TikTok. The money that is thrown around on that app is absolutely filthy, disgusting. And for all of those things you just heard about how the natural reward system, it's hijacked. You get emotionally invested into all this stuff and you can't put it down. It's like our parents with the soap operas in the 80s. You can't put it down. It's insane.
So there's certain natural rewards like eating, which of course my body wants to reward me for, so I eat again. And these chemicals in front of me, like the cigarettes, the whiskey, the drugs, those have been designed to hijack that particular part of the brain and really amplify the feeling so that my brain kind of is tricked into thinking that it was potentially a natural reward, but it's actually a synthetic sort of man-made chemical.
A few years ago, Tony Robbins helped Serena Williams break through a mental slump and return to championship form.
Exactly. And what we see in the evolution of drugs over, human lifetimes, but especially in the last 200 years, is the application of science and technology to take, like, the coca leaf, for example, right? That's been around forever, and essentially make it even more potent, even more available, to make it a faster delivery mechanism. So we have this history of increasing potency and availability over time. Said more simply, drugs are getting even more potent over time. So this vulnerability to the hijacked brain is even more common, including taking things that we didn't even really think of as drugs.
Including, like, in social media. That's always left out of addiction, and it's a huge problem because it's a way for people to transfer it. I was talking to Abby the other day on Messenger, and she had said that she was talking to a guy and asked him how he was overcoming his addiction. He goes, "Oh, TikTok." He literally went to TikTok and its emotional casino and is dealing with his addiction that way. That's not an acceptable way to handle it. It does drain your energy. Absolutely, Amy. Absolutely. And as humans, we have this overwhelming urge and need to amplify everything, motors, just everything. There's no end to what we have to amplify. So of course drugs are going to get stronger. It's not the same as it was 30, 40 years ago. These are not the drugs of the 70s. Absolutely not. Technology completely removed the brakes on everything and was like, go forward.
And turning them into drugs. So remember the natural rewards. One of them is finding a mate.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways our brains gets us to do that is by making falling in love and making intimacy and human connection rewarding on a neurobiological level, including releasing dopamine in our reward pathway when we make those kinds of social connections. My colleague at Stanford, Rob Malenka, and his colleagues did an interesting experiment where they were able to show that oxytocin, our love hormone, binds to dopamine-releasing neurons in the reward pathway and releases dopamine, which is just one more link in the chain showing us that falling in love, human connection is rewarding. It feels good. It releases dopamine.
And you see all of these topics on the app, right? You see the falling in love. Look at the lesbian TikTok drama over there. It is all over the place. So you're triggering that pathway. You've got the human connection because everybody's meeting. And that's one of the things that's nice about TikTok is everything's live and the interaction is so quick. And there's a bunch of group of people that you can respond to very quickly. And we don't really have a place like that that's really popular. And you can meet people from around the world. It's a reward. So when you wake up in the morning and you pick up that phone, you're already rewarding yourself in these pleasure pathways with this short form videos that they're talking about, in these little 30-second, 1-minute clips because your attention span is shit now. And the app drama of TikTok works the same way. This is why many cannot look away from the drama. It creates that, like when you're watching these shit shows, stop and think about it. I was talking to, I was in that box last night and somebody's like, I think it was Heather. She's like, I just like to watch the crash outs. I said, yeah, but think about this. You're rooting somebody's failure. Like, is that really like, this is somebody's real life and you're rooting them crashing out? Like, that's not healthy either. Like the reason you're here is not healthy. And a lot of people don't realize that. And I want to show, these are the different hormones. There was some questions about serotonin and dopamine. So serotonin is the happiness chemical. So yes and no, it to the individual who was asking me last night, because they were like, I thought serotonin was the feel-good chemical, the happiness one. So like soaking in the sun, walking in nature are good ways to naturally do this. A happy microbiome, which is healthy gut, healthy body microbes, a tryptophan-rich foods, herbs are St. John's wort, ashwagandha, and I've not heard of albizia. Dopamine is your feel-good hormone, your euphoric. These are all the things that you can do there. These are other ones that you can take. Endorphins are the pain reliever, movement, exercise, and orgasms, laughter, and dance, vitamin B and C rich foods, and oxytocin, the cuddling hormone, bonding. These are all natural ways to get those same chemicals that you're seeking from drugs. If you just replace that behavior to get that chemical, like if you're triggered to go do an action that's going to release the same chemical. Start changing the behavior, replace that, and you're still going to get that same fix, that same rush. People often hear dopamine is the pleasure chemical and serotonin is the happiness chemical. That is not accurate. Dopamine is about drive, anticipation, motivation, and pursuit. So it's a little bit deeper. It is the rush before the reward. So it's that feeling that you get, that exhilaration, that high, that like a runner's high, before you reach the finish line. Dopamine says, go get it. It creates urgency and compulsion, but does not tell you when to stop. Serotonin is about contentment, satisfaction, emotional regulation, and stability. Serotonin says you are okay now. It helps you feel settled and balanced. So, like, when you're in recovery, you kind of do have a settling and balancing. So you're more stable in the serotonin department. Dopamine is the thing that drives you to go get it. Modern systems reward dopamine heavily. Serotonin would make you put the phone down. So you guys need to go find some serotonin, not so much dopamine. Dopamine spikes before pleasure. People miss the crash afterward. Dopamine is ordering the food. Serotonin is feeling satisfied after eating. These are easy ways to compare them. And then there's also this one. So exercise. Now they're going to talk a little bit about exercise and like the pain, and it's not so enjoyable in the beginning, like New Year's resolutions. This was a really good podcast to find because it was right at the new year. This is like a brand new podcast, like last week, I think. Okay, and I'll just skip to like 11 minutes here.
Starting to see that, individuals who are spending more and more time on AI, looking for companionship. Often this is individuals who are experiencing marital or interpersonal conflict, who turn to AI for advice on how to handle interpersonal conflict. and often for emotional validation because they're not getting it from their partners. And what they experience with AI is an enormous amount of emotional validation, validating their point of view, but also a sense of companionship, a repeated process of feeling like they're understood, they're validated, such that then they're spending more and more time on AI. And of course, that is the essence of the addiction to digital media. It's the time spent, right? Which then leads to opportunity costs, other things that we're not doing.
People, we hear it all the time. Go raise your kids. Why aren't you spending time with your family? Well, the same people are very much not spending the same time with their family. The cost of time lost to social media, opportunities missed while mindlessly scrolling 1 hour a day. This is addiction in training. It's escalation, compulsion. You're missing out on personal development opportunities, health and fitness, because you're sitting there, you're scrolling. So many people got carpal tunnel and shoulder issues from holding the damn phone. It's ridiculous. Relationship issues. We have watched so many people fight on TikTok because of their relationship. Either somebody isn't on social media and doesn't want to be part of all this drama, or there's relationship issues that are just spread out all over the app, and it's absolutely disgusting, and it's nobody's business. We don't go look in our neighbors' windows, you know what I mean? Like that's just not what we do. But on social media, it's everybody's business, and then you get screamed at for watching it like it's not your business. It's this crazy freaking place. But a career and purpose, you could be furthering a career. You could be getting a career. For all of the hours that people spend on TikTok, they could be investing in an education. There are such things as Pell Grants. You could go get that job you tell everybody else to go get. And real world experiences, traveling, going out and doing things and not living life through the phone. There's all of those options, all of them.
Because we're spending so much time online. Furthermore, it, in my experience, often leads to a rift between those individuals and their real life partners. Because instead of going to their real life partners and talking, and we know that the most important thing that two individuals in a relationship can do is one 4-letter word that ends with K, which is talk. Those individuals stop talking. Right. And instead, they're getting their needs met through AI.
And we definitely shouldn't be doing that. We should be talking to each other. It's great to refer to AI. Like I did help put this together with AI. It made things go a lot faster. The anxiety that I used to feel before going live and getting set up was gone because I was set up before I went live. I couldn't predict the Substack issue, but I'll deal with that on a different angle next time. But it just bums me out because I would like to. I may just have to do it through YouTube and post it over there. We'll see. But let me just check something here. Let me see what's happening here. I'm on the Substack. I was looking at my menu to see if it was showing live. Perhaps post resources. Nope. Website. Oh no, it's there. It's showing over there now. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. Right there. It's showing now. I think it just needs to catch up. I think it just needs to catch up. So it is working over there. Okay. All right. That's on the website. It might just be the app. It might just be the app. Because the website version, it looks like it's working. So it'll be on the Substack. Okay. Cool. right, let's see here. 1705. So this might be a tender topic a little bit. She talks about she gets into a talk of a patient. I'm not sure if it's quite here yet or not, but they do get into the topic of sex addiction. This is where the emotional casino comes in that ChatGPT has talked to us about. Chasing the drama for a dopamine hit. You got the gossip, the online feuds, the cancel culture, outrage and exposure, total chaos, sex and violence. So it just gets it's more and more and more and more every single time, just to fuel that need for that dopamine. A lot of people have, and then you got drugs in there, and you have this excessive amount, and people can't put the shit down. It gets ridiculous. So then you have, all this. This is like the average social media usage. Like the global average is 2 hours and 24 minutes per day. Imagine how many people could get paid. That's a part-time job. Look at our kids, and that's her point. She's actually testifying in court cases actively, where school districts and other agencies across the country are suing social media giants to make it a safer environment for kids. We That's exactly right. We are living in our own little bubble. We don't realize that we have all these needs until something happens. Like, who's going to come take care of you when you're sick, if you break your leg? If you're not making these real life connections with people, who is going to be there for you? Do you think you're going to turn to social media every single time to get in AI? You do have to have people. But this community just came together here in Alaska because a slumlord didn't pay their fuel oil bill, and 15 families were without heat during this negative 60-degree weather. The community came together. Did social media help? Because yes, because that's how we communicate, but it wasn't a begging situation. It was an awareness thing for our local community people. We weren't begging online for the TikTok's help and expecting everybody else to solve our problems. We did it ourselves. One of the things I learned from a respiratory therapist out in Colorado, he was from Russia, and he was talking about what it was like during the Cold War. And they used to overproduce everything with not a care or concern in the world. The USSR economy was centrally planned, not demand driven. We're a supply and demand. They were just supply, but there was not always a demand for what they were producing. Production quotas were set by the state, not consumers. Factories were judged on output numbers, not usefulness or need. This led to massive overproduction of unwanted goods, which is what's possibly going to happen with robots doing our job. You know what I mean? Like, how much are we really, if we have an overabundance of something, what's going to happen? Look at the former USSR. This led to massive overproduction of unwanted goods while shortages still existed. Warehouses were full, shelves were empty, and there was no consumer feedback loop. Now connect this to AI replacing redundant jobs. When production becomes cheap, fast, automated, and disconnected from human labor, output exceeds human need. You do not get scarcity, you get abundance without restraint. This applies to goods, content, stimulation, and novelty. Humans become the bottleneck. When output exceeds meaning, systems break. So this is not always a good thing. This is like what it could be negative about AI automating our jobs and replacing. So we have to be cautious about these things. Yes, it can be good, but man, it can also be bad. Think about how many hours people spend on TikTok leisurely flipping through shit. We absolutely will. Oh, that's the social media one. I need that one more. Slide 11. You can only put 10 slides up here at first. So this here, well, how did I do that without adding it to the stage? Hang on a second. Let me set up these next slides. Go take a potty break since I don't have to add these to this. How are the other ones adding? I'll just set these next ones up so I ain't gonna screw around. This is lengthy. It's important. That one of the reasons I like YouTube and Facebook is because you can pause this and go back. Stay out of the drama. Like, this is what, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to teach people is how to retrain your brain. Find some different behaviors to adopt to help you put this down, because it isn't healthy. If you can't ingest the TikTok and the social media in a healthy manner, you got to put it down. It is an addiction. Our kids see this. That's another thing. Our children are seeing how much time we are spending, and they mimic us. They absolutely do. You are losing, and we're going to talk about all of what you're losing and what you're in the development that your children are losing out on by placing an electronic device in their hands at such a young age. I know it seems like a great pacifier, but it's not. You're setting them up for the early signs of addiction, or the early addiction pathway. Sorry, I'm doing too many things at once here, trying to get these slides lined up. Okay, that should be good for right now. Okay. This is the book that they just referred to, Amusing Ourselves to Death, the Public Discourse in the Age of Show Business. They're talking about media, but if you replace the concept with social media, I'm going to be looking into this book too. I'm looking forward to reading books again and not dealing with idiots on TikTok. But this is the book that they're talking about, and if you want to look it up, this is from 1985, but it really does apply to today. So homeostasis I deal with in my job over on the right. In respiratory, it's the acid-base balance in the blood. You got the carbon dioxide, the oxygen, the bicarb, everything's trying to neutralize. Same thing happens with dopamine. You're trying to regulate it. It's trying to balance itself in the middle, like in a neutral position, and there's always this rapid flooding of the receptors and the removal, and you can never really find your balance, and that's where the struggle with addiction comes from. So that's right here. This is what happens in addiction. The dopamine receptors cut back. You're trying to chase this balance that's in the center, and it's this relentless pursuit. It's this never-ending cycle, and that's why you have to detox. You have to let things return to a natural balance, and what they're saying is typically that will take about 4 weeks. You have to put it down. You have to detox, which means putting down social media, putting down whatever is becoming toxic in your life. There's less receptors available on the brain. This over here. Right. More drama, more drama. Look at the brain. This is the control subject of somebody with ADHD on the right. Control is a normal brain. You can see that there are some areas that are just not lit up. It's a low dopamine. And if you look at drug addiction, very similar patterns of the dopamine in the brains of addicted individuals. So you can see the correlation of an ADHD brain to this one. These are all low dopamine areas here. I mean, you have more in ADHD, but it is not lit up red like it should be. So you already have an at-risk child set up for all the stages of addiction, and you have to manage their child. That's what I'm so hard on my child right now. I mean, he's because so he can have a better adulthood because his ADHD is getting the best of him. Absolutely getting the best of him. This is where I am trying to understand where my son is coming from. He's having cravings at baseline that he doesn't even understand. Our children are running around having these urges and cravings that they don't understand during a time in their life where they're exploring, and they don't understand. They truly don't. I think we can pause. It's 34, 8. No. I'm gonna probably stop this at an hour and a half. We got about 20 minutes till we get there, just so it's not long. And I will do like a 2-part series because this is a pretty long podcast. They're teaching your child to soothe themselves with an electronic device instead of self-soothing. So then they get on the internet when they're teenagers and they're getting in trouble at school and they're getting filmed on body cam with a sense of entitlement and acting like a juvenile, like toddler, like way, way juvenile. In type generations. The emotional casino. There's no friction. We used to have to go outside and solve our problems in the 80s. You get your butt beat if you went and told your parents that somebody would, you were a tattletale. You would get in trouble. And you're missing opportunities with your child. Like, you are training your child and setting them up for addiction. Video games, endless screen time, early brain changes, escape and coping, risk of other drugs right down the line. I mean, it's a casino for a child. It's a dopamine hit. You are in, if that child's got ADHD on top of, you are just here, get addicted. My child's behavior improves greatly when he does not have an electronic device in his hands. It's just the way it is. We have got to do better. We as parents have got to quit doing this in front of our kids. Right there. The commercial product for all of these companies is to keep your attention so they can deliver more ads. TikTok shop, everything it's all ad. If you are not paying for the product, like if you're not paying for the app, you're not paying to use TikTok, if you're not paying to use Facebook, if you're not paying to, you are the product. Everything is an ad. Social media, when it was first designed, did not behave this way. It was not like this. You did not get ads promoted to you. It was just a basic model. It wasn't full of ads. When they changed that model, they started selling our data. We are a product to them. They are selling our data to marketing companies to target their ads to us. That's where social media makes their money, is through the ad revenue, not through us. You have to understand that. And that's what we should be talking about on social media. We're always screaming about products that don't harm kids. And, oh, you're exposing our kids to this stuff. This is what the risk, when we talk about like the risk and benefit analysis of using social media, these are the risks. You're losing time, attention erosion, because you're in that 30-second loop, emotional dysregulation. Your emotions are up and down every time you flip that slot machine lever. You scroll, there's either you're sobbing, you're laughing, think about the roller coaster you send yourself on. A comparison and envy. You see somebody that you want to be. We see this all the fucking time. Addiction loops. There's people running from live to live to live, spreading rumors and drama and feeding off of it. Reduced coping skills. There are so many people crashing out. We can't cope with life. Dependency on systems and loss of agency, which is a control of one's outcomes in life. This is what you think you're getting. Immediate, visible, and easy to feel. A connection, entertainment, information, productivity, convenience. You're validated, being creative and efficient. What you're actually spending, you're losing out on time with your children. Boredom tolerance. You cannot handle being bored. You can't just sit and be. Emotional resilience, ability to self-soothe, presence in your own life, like laundry, dishes, social life, all of that stuff. And then with your kids, when socializing fades in childhood, if you're teaching your kids to socialize through social media and to self-soothe with an electronic device instead of taking them to the park and learning social skills with other children and how to solve problems, emotional regulation, you're going to have more tantrums, more mood swings. Think of the parents that we see with the kids flipping out in the background. Social skills stagnate, limited ability to connect, and that should have said empathize. Attention spans shrink. Long focus becomes rare. Impulse control drops. Like they are just so impulsive, you just can't control them. Self-confidence withers. They're restless, low self-esteem, and they need to be validated all the time because their parents aren't reinforcing any kind of validation like, hey, good job. Here's a reward. No, you're giving them a damn phone every time they turn around. And mental health deteriorates. Anxiety, depression, and loneliness seeps in. When developing minds lose real human interaction, crucial strengths slip away. Give them time and space to grow. They need to have these interactions in life. They need to have disappointment. You're really not helping. Let's see here. I got a note to go to a different spot here. Skip, wait. Hold on. Detox. How many times have you fantasized about a food and remember how it tasted, and then you eat it and it's like a letdown? It's not what you remember. The craving doesn't satisfy you. It remembers that first high. Remember that first rush. She said the first 10 to 14 days are the absolute worst. But you need to get through 4 weeks, just 4 weeks, and you're able to start like balancing out those dopamine receptors. And that's when you should start making some behavior changes. It's like if you have that craving, that's when you want to revert to natural activities that release the same hormones that you're seeking. Replace that with a positive behavior, with a more natural behavior. Don't overdo it. You can overdo exercise. You can overdo sun. You can overdo everything. Moderation is always key. Listen, so recovery is characterized by the development of new neural networks, okay? The pathways are always still there, and this is why addiction has been transferred with a lot of these. Oh, that's not it. Which slide is it? Oh, I need to add it. Hang on. Just add the last three here. There's only 3 more slides I have. This is the one I really wanted to get to. Was this one here. Transfer versus real recovery. This is a common transferred addictions and habits. Constant social media scrolling, doom scrolling or rage watching, TikTok lives for hours, comment fighting, drama engagement, obsessive posting for validation, checking likes, views, comments compulsively. These are all addictive behaviors that get transferred to social media from drug use. Over-identifying with online conflicts, researching other people excessively, digging for dirt or receipts on others, replacing substances with screen time, replacing substances with gaming. What real recovery starts to look like: ability to tolerate being bored, ability to sit with discomfort, reduced urgency to react, longer pause between impulse and action, less need for validation, less emotional volatility, building routines without obsession, like watching somebody every day, doing things without posting them. You don't need to be validated by your social media crew. Enjoying privacy. I love it. Letting things go without needing closure. Choosing regulation over stimulation. Like, this needs to be a TikTok. I truly need to take this screenshot and make this into an AI video, because this is a transfer of drug addiction to social media. These are all the behaviors that you're looking at. These people are not in recovery like they claim. If they're out here screaming and doing all this, you're not in recovery. No, you're freaking not. Not at all. Let this play a few more minutes and then we'll pause it. Okay, I'm gonna pause it here because this is a good place to stop. I don't want to overwhelm people with too much information. The second part is more about how to reset yourself and how to make your short-term goals. So I'm going to kind of like separate it into two parts. I'll probably do the second part on Tuesday because I got to work the next 2 days. But that'll give people time to kind of review it and see it, because it's going to be, I'm really curious how Substack is going to catch up. I'm going to be doing some reading, but this is how I'm going to be putting out my content. This is where it's at. You can view it at any time. I don't have to be a slave. This is like, it's great to have the live interaction. It's there. There's a chat on Substack. You just like, there's a subscriber chat in there. You guys can chat and talk. Feel your way around. Next time I'll probably go live on the Substack on the phone, but the problem is you won't be able to see it. So I might just have to share the stream from YouTube. I'm going to have to figure out a way to do that. Maybe I'll just share the YouTube live to Substack, but I will post a event on the YouTube and the Facebook again, so you guys can set a reminder for when I plan on doing that on Tuesday. I got to fly out Tuesday night, so this shouldn't take too much longer. I only have 1 slide or 2 slides left on dopamine, so there's not a lot of stopping and pausing to do that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stop here. You guys have a great night, and I will see you Tuesday.